Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour, brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, Excel Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everybody, and happy holidays. Still plenty of entertainment to take in, including the Premiere Playhouse 4th Annual A Christmas Carol. Opens Friday night, and Thomas Andrew Simmons plays Scrooge. We'll hear from him later in the hour. Coming up in just a few minutes, we hear from former broadcaster, now still a broadcaster, part-time, podcaster, and now artist, Alan Helgeson, the artist part just having come along a few years ago. He'll tell us about that. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
Whatever you're drinking and whatever you're drinking it out of might very well be determined by where and when you're listening. My choice, a Jasper Newton Jack Daniels Diet Coke with lime. For you, be it a cup of coffee, a spot of tea, glass of milk, bottle of water, mug of beer, a cocktail, glass of wine, or flute of champagne. Lift it high and toast to the executive administrator of all things Big D Entertainment provides. That would be my love, Carrie Spittler. She's the level-headed one out of the staff. She's always reminding the creatives in this group all the things we need to consider when putting together shows, especially the Vaughties, which, by the way, just finished its best season yet. So with her guidance, next year will be even better and run smoothly. Cheers to you, my love. The Weekend Eve Toast is brought to you by Chasers, West 12th Street and Ellis Road. Chasers has great food and beverages, and on Monday nights at 7, we play Dave Holly Hour Trivia. This coming Monday, December 16th, it's going to be December birthdays and, significant historical anniversary type things. Join in the fun and see what holiday shirt I'll be wearing. Honorable mention. So what over the past week made Dave laugh, guffaw, chuckle, chortle, giggle, simply smile, or maybe even shed a tear of joy? I tell you what, I got to give it to MCAP. Wow. Mighty Corson art players, you did well. And it was such a fun thing for a Sherlock carol. Interesting touch on it. Oh, by the way, it's still going on this weekend. So if you'd like to go see it, get there and tell them I sent you. Okay? I've always wanted to say that. But MCAP, Mighty Corson art players, fantastic show. Everybody I spoke to afterward absolutely loved it. Later in this show, Scrooge, Thomas Andrew Simmons. In just a few minutes, broadcaster, podcaster, artist, Alan Helgeson on the Dave Holly Hour. Merry and Bright is a vibrant new art exhibit that captures the essence of the holiday season through the eyes of talented local artists. It opens tomorrow night at Serendipity Studio in downtown Sioux Falls. I had a sneak peek of it earlier this week. It's wonderful. Featuring a dazzling array of art, this exhibit invites visitors to immerse themselves in the joy and warmth of the holidays. Merry and Bright opening the 13th at Serendipity Studio in the historic Shriver Square building, downtown Sioux Falls.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics inside Oscar's Mini Storage. We have thousands of classic vintage ceramic mold items and several new items too. TJS Ceramics offers classes, special open studio nights, and completed ready-to-purchase items. Bisque studio time or painting parties are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in person today or email tjsceramics@gmail.com for more details.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Funny, engaging, connected. He's the entertainment reporter for Sioux Falls. Here's Dave Hawley.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, yes, it is always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire arts and entertainment. It's a pleasure to have repeat guests. It's a pleasure to have new guests. And it's a great pleasure to have this guest today. Thankfully, he started a new hobby a few years ago. We used to work together in radio. We worshiped at the same place for a while. And he's always been a good friend. Alan Helgeson, how are you?
I'm doing good today. I'm doing well. You know what? I can't say just today. I'm grateful, and I'm doing better than I should be. You know, people always joke about that.
Right.
I know that's one of those things. But yeah, it's a great day, and I was hoping that you would mention the caravan of meat in there somewhere.
Oh, yes.
You know, that at some point we get to talk about that.
And between that and then, Nelson and, let's see, Pete.
Yeah.
And myself and Jason Olson.
That's right.
We had the Mighty Mushroom Gang.
Yep.
Which was cooking at one of the other places' house. And
that's right.
Huge steaks. We would have probably between the four of us 6 or 7 pounds of meat.
Isn't that something?
And those huge stuffed mushrooms. And the way that I got the Mighty Mushroom Gang name was we were at Pete's one time, and he lived in an apartment at that time on the second floor. And we had those big stuffed mushrooms, and he's getting ready to pick one up, and it drops. I think he might have gone down the steps, out the door, and caught it, actually.
Oh, golly.
It was that fast.
Gosh. Size of an anvil.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was a fun time. Yeah, a lot of great things in that memory bank there. That is for sure. But the reason I got you in here is because all of a sudden, you're an artist. You're painting.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, you do these things. You fall into things, and you know that, David.
Very much.
That you can be moving along in life, just steady as she goes, and we bumped into each other, and you were kind of shocked to see me at something that I had my wares out for sale. I was schlepping my stuff, my paintings, as it were, and kind of surprised. We're just chatting about this, and what happened. I come from. My mom has been a lifelong artist. She's been a painter since being a kid, and she's always wanted me to just take time to sit down and paint with her. And I've always just bristled at the idea of that, to slow down and to do that, because, it would take time to slow down and do that, and that's not my nature. But something happened here a couple years ago. That it was during the pandemic at this time,
right.
And everybody was doing
correct pronunciation was pandemic.
Pandemic. You're right, and everybody was doing fewer things. And I was out at the farm with my mom, and we just sat down. And at that time, just sat down and did something. And I said, "Okay, this is fine. We'll sit down and do something." and it was like an actual mental dam broke loose. And she likes to work in watercolors, but we were doing something at that time with like some acrylic stuff. And I went home. This was in March of 2022, and went home and started. And I've been semi-regular painting ever since then, doing some things. And I don't really know what I'm doing other than I like to do different things. And I've kind of been painting ever since. And I don't have a real style. I don't have a real specific subject matter I like to work in. It really just kind of depends on when I pick up my brush and what I want to work in. So that's where I kind of got this painting bug. And what I've found, because I am a man in my extremely late 30s, David, that
I've been telling people the wrong age then.
Okay, all right. But this thing, painting for me, has become kind of a creative release. And it's, I think, you don't pay attention to these things, this knocking that you hear at your brain, or these things that happen that say, hey, you need to slow down. You need to do more of this. You need to take time for yourself, whatever it may be. It's your thing is different for you, David, than it is for me, of whatever you need to do to slow down, to recharge your brain, right? It's not a combination of just exercise, but it's the mental stuff too. We all need to do something. So,
this is my yoga.
It's exactly it.
Yeah.
So for this is one of those things that I started, because when I do this and I sit down and I pick up that brush, I don't know, because God gifted me with an abnormally small brain. I don't have the capacity to do two things at once. I can't mentally process things other than just focus on putting some paint in a spot on a canvas at that time. And my brain really, really shuts down, and it's a way of quieting things for me. And I truly enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had a coworker at Citibank that he's retired now, but he always said, "There's no such thing as multitasking."
Right. Yeah,
you can only literally do one thing at a time, so I've always gotten a kick out of that, because that's one of those things that I know I fail at. I'm not a good multitasker, but I know what I can do and what I enjoy doing. In fact, the fact. My wife asked me one time a couple of years ago, she said, so when are you the happiest? Being a smart husband, I said, well, other than the time I spend with you, it's when I go 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. That's where I'm in my zone. This is, like I said just a bit ago, it's my yoga.
Well, for those that haven't had the pleasure of seeing your studio, I'm a very visual person and a creative person like you, and working in radio for many years and audio. This is a very, very inviting space, and it does lend itself to a creative space. I mean, these are the kinds of things that you just feel comfortable here, right? So my studio is a place where it's a creative home for me.
Right.
I have a space like this in my basement. I've created it. It's got everything I need. I've got like a thick shag carpet down there. I listen to classical music, or I'll listen to, and I know this is and I might be saying way more than you care to hear.
Oh, not at all.
But I mean, for me, getting in the zone is something like, having a candle, it's having the right smell or something like that. But listening to like the high-lows. Do you know who the high-lows are? Playing the right music. I mean, just having the right stuff. And it just puts me in the zone. And I'll just paint. I can paint for hours just doing that. And it's just a way of recharging my battery.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's like you mentioned, we just ran into each other this past weekend at the Art Collective. In fact, it took me just a moment to say, oh, God, that's Alan. And then you had waved, and it's like, yep, that seals it. I know who this man is.
What you're not saying is, geez, did he let himself go?
No,
right?
No. Because I keep up on Facebook. And it's just, it's been great to catch up with you, not just, what are you doing at the moment with your painting and things like that. That's the reason that you're on the show, yes. But there probably would have been another time I got you on because we're former broadcasters. And, former broadcasters don't die. They become podcasters because you have two.
I have.
In your full-time job. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So in my full-time work, I work
Go ahead and plug Sanford.
I work for Sanford Health. And in my full-time work, I get to work. I absolutely love what I get to do because I get to work in the podcast strategy and to tell of the great stories that our organization is doing across all the places where Sanford and Good Samaritan Society is in podcasting. And, we're doing some amazing things out there with our physicians and with the people that we're blessed to care for. And I get to do that stuff with the podcasts that we do and the stories we get to tell. And it's really, with the work that I get to do there, I work with some amazing, amazing people that have been involved with that are former TV broadcasters, former journalists from major newspapers around this area, but all coming together in a full-on newsroom that are telling these stories through print, video, and audio in telling these stories. And it's kind of weird that if you'd asked me all these years ago in radio when I was, playing, hey, here's the latest one from the grassroots on blah, 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 that it would all come around in a loop
hitting
like
the post.
This. Correct.
Yes, hit the post.
Come around in a place like this where I could put it together and actually bring this knowledge together to put together things like a podcast, in doing this stuff. And it's just a blast. I'm super excited in being able to do that, much like you are.
Right. Yeah.
It's some of the most exciting time in my life in being able to do that.
And if I'm not mistaken, you work with some former guests of this program as well.
Probably.
Simon,
I'm guessing. Simon.
Vanessa?
I do. Yes.
Yep.
I do. Simon actually works about 20 feet from my desk. Yep.
Well, tell him hello for me.
I will absolutely do that. A very
Vanessa
gifted
as well.
man.
Yeah. And or is she not working?
Who's that?
Vanessa?
She's not part of she doesn't work there anymore.
Okay.
But I do.
After giving birth?
Yep.
Yeah. Good for her.
And she's an amazing person too.
Oh, she is.
I love Vanessa.
Absolutely great people. All right. So you got fun stuff you're doing now, but let's go back to the beginnings then.
Okay.
With radio. Many people maybe remember you as Spanky.
Oh my gosh.
And then you became famous for choosing air names for your talent of famous people.
Jeepers. You're going to have to remind me because some of this stuff I blocked out, David. Help me.
Chris Carter.
Oh, Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Yes. He wanted, it seems like the conversation is he wanted to, I can't remember if I asked him or he brought it forward, but the name Red Barnes came up. I can't remember, but between the two of us, Red Barnes, but somehow it came to Chris Carter.
Okay.
Yep.
I like Red Barnes.
Yeah, so Red Barnes was somehow in the discussion.
Yeah, if I ever get around to writing that book, that's a character.
Yeah, Red Barnes.
I love it.
Yep.
And then Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter, who is another somebody that came to Sioux Falls. I hired her to work in Sioux Falls. Chris Carter. Gosh, there have been a lot of people that are in this town that are here because, I was able to give them their first job in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Now, did you work anywhere before Kello?
I did. So
over in Mitchell then?
I did.
Back home?
My start in broadcasting is really my mom's fault because it was like the summer after my sophomore year in high school. And I'll put it this way. I was in between positions, entertaining offers and of job offers. And the day after high school, my sophomore year ended, and my mom came. I remember her coming down, and I was sleeping in. She said, "Oh no, this isn't happening. We're not doing this." And in Mitchell, they had a part-time employment agency called Rent-A-Kid, believe it or not.
Wow.
Try and think if that would you could do something
Yeah.
like that this day and age. So I
Rent a
went
young
to
adult.
yeah, right. So she said, "You're going down to Rent-A-Kid and you're going to find a job." So I went to Rent-A-Kid in Mitchell, and they needed somebody to read news on KORN radio.
Oh yeah, good old corn.
So I went to KORN radio and got a job reading news on the weekend on KORN and Q107 radio, and worked there on the weekends, and did that all the way through high school. And it was a blast. It was actually the station where Gary Owens of Laughing
That's
Feet
right.
got his start.
Exactly.
And so when I left Mitchell and came to college at Augustana, I decided to keep working, and I came here and I worked on KXRB and KIOV
Mm-hmm.
at the time, and took a break from there for just about a year and a half. And then I went to work on stations KPAT and KSOO.
KPAT was my all-time favorite in
Was
this
it?
market. Absolutely. Yeah, and then Norm.
Norm
Hey,
Anderson.
how
Yep,
you doing,
Norm
man?
hired me.
Yeah.
And it was a great time. Worked there for 3.5 years, and all the time while I went to Augustana. And then when it came time to graduate from Augustana, I was at a place where I had interviewed to take a job down in Ardmore, Oklahoma, my wife Linda and I. And I wasn't quite sure about it. So at the time, I thought, I don't know if I want to do this. So I went over and saw Hardly Worth It at Kello AM and said, "Hey, do you have anything open over here? Because I'm not really sure I want to do this." And he put me on. He gave me the overnight position at Kello AM, and that started me there, working for Mid-Continent Radio for 17 and a half years. And I did just
Great
about everything there.
company.
It was a
Yeah.
fantastic organization, and I worked various positions all the way up to becoming the program director at Kello AM, and left there to when the company ended up buying KTWB, and I became the program director on KTWB and did various shifts there, including mornings. And then after 3 years there, I went to Kello FM and worked there with Nancy Carlson in the morning. And after 4 years there, I decided that I would, it was time to leave radio full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going to work at Avera. I started my second career and went to Avera and worked there for 9.5 years before I decided to move to Sanford and work at Sanford Health. So it's been 10 years at Sanford now.
Wow.
So yeah,
It's been that long since.
been that long.
Yeah, but you still do a little radio.
I
You're
still,
part-time.
I have, outside of about it was about a year, I have still maintained a presence on air in that whole time. So I still am on radio stations 5 days a week.
Yeah, doing
Here in
any
Sioux Falls.
voice work right now?
No, not really, because I keep pretty busy with everything
Yeah.
else between the two radio stations that I work on and with my work at Sanford Health.
Mm-hmm.
And that keeps
And
me
a
plenty
wife
busy.
who's a runner.
And my wife that's a runner, and she keeps me plenty busy.
Yeah,
She's running all
she
over
keeps
the
you
place.
running.
She does.
Yeah.
And those grandkids of mine and my kids. and
Wow.
all over
Yeah,
the place.
I know it. That's the best part about catching up. We went through 10, 15 minutes trying to find pictures of everybody. Well,
That's right.
And it's
That's
just
right.
a blast doing that. But let's get back to the painting then.
Okay.
We've covered the background and
Yep.
everything. And so you say you don't really have a style, but do you primarily work just in acrylic?
I do.
Yeah.
I've tried doing watercolor. Watercolor for people like what they like.
Mm-hmm.
I like acrylic because it's a little more. I like the control of acrylic. Watercolor for me is hard. I just like acrylic because of what you can do with it. Watercolor is, it's beautiful, but it's just not my thing.
Right.
And it's just maybe because I haven't practiced enough with it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, because the one time I tried painting, I went with acrylic too. Just because, for one thing, less expensive than oil.
Yes.
You can, like you say, you can work with it easier. And then not only that, but it dries and you can clean up quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because oil is, wow.
Yeah, I don't have for the people that paint in oil, I mean, my hat's off to you. I don't have the patience to paint in oil because it takes a long time. And it's a very, very, you have to have a different process when you paint in oil because you have to start in a very different place and you have to work very methodically. And it takes a long time for things to dry and you blend things differently and maybe sometime. But right now I like what I'm doing, and that's the key, to like what you're doing and want to be able to come back to it. And I'm not making a job out of it.
Well, since you're in your extremely late 30s, means you're approaching like midlife then.
Correct.
And what about, even further down then, another 100 years, when you're ready for retirement then? Think this will be a part of it yet?
I think there's a little part back in there that what retirement looks like. I don't know what, you always wonder what is retirement. I think so. I think I go back to when my kids left the house. I asked, what does it look like when you become an empty nester? And for me, it's been quite a few years now because I was worried. Well, what do you do? Because, you spend so much time devoting to your kids and all the things that my kids were involved in. And my family and my kids and how involved we were in high school and school and church and all of the things with our children. So what happens when they're gone? You sit around and I mean, there's a huge void in your life. So what they told me is that, well, you go back and maybe you pick up some of the hobbies you used to do, or maybe you develop new ones. And that's exactly what it is. It maybe took me a while, but I developed a new one here. And I've done some things that I'm doing some things that I used to do. I used to play bass guitar and I play it more now, but I think this will have a place for me. I think I will try and do more of it. I'm trying to focus on some different areas, and I think, always keep it fresh. That's the key,
right?
Not getting bored with things, and how do I expand? How do I grow in it? And I think it's looking to people that are better than me at it. So I think that's the thing. You never want to just stay the same.
Right.
I don't know that anybody, regardless of who they are, that wants to stay the same in what they're doing. Right.
Exactly.
So that's what I want to do, I think. And I think in the back of your mind, gosh, would it be great to make $1 billion being a famous artist? Sure. But then, the other piece that comes with that makes it a job. I don't need another job.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
What did the family think when you took this up? Surprised, or was it more along the lines of can't believe you hadn't done it before?
Maybe a combination of both.
Okay.
I think they're very supportive of it. I think it's just, I think that's probably it. I think it's just a combination of both. And my daughter's very creative. My wife is. Carter is in a different way. Carter's, even though he's a big, strong Marine, he's a burly Marine and, strong guy. He's a baker. Carter bakes like there's nobody's business. So he's creative in his own way.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
Trust me, food is an art.
Yeah, it is.
Of which I consume a lot.
He would make the Cheesecake Factory cry if they tried his cheesecake.
Wow.
Yeah, he throws down cheesecake like nobody's business.
Oh.
So they all
What's
have a
his
creative
address?
piece. That's exactly, yeah. They all have a creative thing. So I think it's just we're all very supportive in that way. And I think it's just a good environment in our family.
Well,
so.
I have to, you were talking about the personality in this studio. I have to bring back a memory for us of Carter and how it's in this studio. Frank Sinatra.
Frank. Yeah, I'm looking back there. Okay.
Yeah, okay. You were in one of the bands at Sunnycrest.
Uh-huh.
You were having your Thursday night rehearsal. I could still walk well back then, and Carter was there. and he was kind of getting a little anxious and so forth. So I volunteered to walk him to the mall and back. And we're in the mall, and there's that big picture of Frank, and it's like, man, I gotta have that. That's just perfect for my needs. And so I get that, but at that same kiosk with all these drawings and prints of wonderful multi-million-dollar people was Britney Spears. And I think Carter was maybe 6 at the time or something, and says, boy, that Britney Spears sure turned out to be a bad person, didn't she?
Oh, gosh. Only like Carter would say.
I have never forgotten that.
Oh.
And it's just, it hangs there with pride. And it's just a fun thing to talk about from time to time. And
oh, gosh.
yeah, let the good memories keep going and so forth. All right. You are a first-time guest. I'm sure this won't be the last, because I plan on doing this for quite a while. And so the 2 questions, how you answer the first determines whether the second one needs to be asked. But the first question is, when you're not part of the arts and entertainment world, what do you like to be entertained by?
Oh, gosh. What a great question, David. What do I like to be entertained by?
Yes.
Can you give me a little bit more curbs and gutters on it?
Okay. Not so much, because the second question is about other hobbies and so forth. But what is it that, when it comes to, hey, I want to go see something, or I want to go to an exhibit, or I want to listen to live music, or read a good book, what's the default for you?
So,
and you can take as long as you want to answer this.
I'm going to throw this out there, and you can be as judgy as you want to, and I don't care, because I'm old enough now that I don't care.
Isn't that a great part of aging?
It is. It is. So I'm a child of the 70s, 80s, okay? I grew up during a period of some fascinating TV.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, we can all be nostalgic about great things of that period and wish we could go back in time. I don't. Because I love where we're at right now.
Right.
I have my smartphone. I think there are wonderful things about this day and age, okay? But with streaming right now, most everything's readily available.
True.
As a kid, there were some phenomenal TV shows that I was too young to understand at the time and didn't quite get.
Okay.
So I am systematically binging through things as I can, just slowly working things. I'm not a couch potato, but I'll sit down and watch a couple shows at night before bed. Just a little bit. Okay. So case in point. So my answer would be some classic TV. That's my answer.
All right.
But I want to show you what I'm watching.
All
okay.
Right.
So I finished up Hogan's Heroes here a while back.
Oh,
which is an amazing classic sitcom.
Yes.
Classic sitcom. But right now, and I'm ashamed to say it, that it's taken me this long to watch episode by episode. I've watched pieces of it over the years, but I'm working my way through MASH.
Oh, my.
And amazing. Amazing. Never before just watching episode by episode chronologically. And the brilliant writing. As a kid that was only in my single digits when it first started.
Right. Yeah.
I was in college when the final episode came out, but
Cry.
I did.
Oh, God, I did too.
Still, it holds the record for the biggest watched TV show ever.
Yeah.
But, so I know it. Some people will say, well, you're wasting your time watching, this old crap. I counter that. It's still a piece of our lifetime.
Right. And it's still art.
It absolutely is art. And I think it makes me happy. Now, if you might read a book, that's okay. I still want to watch this. And I'm not hurting anything, okay? I like doing that. I like going out. I do like seeing movies. Our family likes doing things together. We like experiences here around the Sioux Empire. We belong to the pavilion. We go to the zoo. We take it all in.
Excellent.
But my little secret bingey thing, that's my weeknight bingey thing.
All right. See, for me, it would be Taxi. Oh,
okay.
Love that one, yeah.
And
Cheers.
You do a Christopher Lloyd, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Can you throw it out here for me again? It's been a long time.
Oh, boss. Alex, what does a yellow light mean? Slow down, Jim. Alex, what does a yellow light mean? Slow down, Jim. Alex, what does a yellow light mean?
I love it.
Oh, thank you, man. Love you as well. And so final question then is any other hobbies?
So yes, I also I dabble a little bit in leatherwork, so I make a few things. I'm not very good at it. That's a very, very fine art that takes some work. But I like making wind chimes. So I'll make wind chimes out of old silverware, old steel silverware, and old coffee cans and coffee pots.
Oh.
So I love doing that. It's a lot of fun. Again, very therapeutic because I just love the sound of old wind chimes, and I have 12 of them on the back of my back deck of my house. And,
wow.
My neighbors probably hate the heck out of it, but I just like the sound of it. Again, very peaceful.
Yeah, excellent. My friend, what a great time to get together and catch up on things. And you are a man of many talents, and you are a man of many gifts. And I'm so glad that we ran into each other again and that you share so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure being here.
All right. We'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Are you an artist? Need some funding to further your art? There's a great opportunity for you through a Sioux Falls Arts Council program. The Artist Microgrant program gives away several microgrants to local artists, no matter what art discipline you're in. Unlike more traditional grants, a microgrant is very easy to apply for. Go to artssiouxfalls.org. If you haven't done so yet, create a listing on the Artist Directory, which is beneficial in its own way. Then go to the Artist Microgrants page and apply online. The process is simple. Find out more about the Sioux Falls Arts Council as well online at artssiouxfalls.org.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffitt Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Arts and entertainment lovers, you hit the mark. It's the Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. Boy, I love it when we get to have two guests that are brand new. We spoke with Alan Helgeson just a little bit ago, and now, I shouldn't say he's brand new. It's his first time on the show.
On this show, yes.
Thomas Andrew Simmons, how are you?
I'm great, Dave.
Glad to hear that. Always a pleasure to see you, and it's even more to see you on stage. And you're going to be starting Friday night.
Yep, Friday night we open up A Christmas Carol down at the Premiere Playhouse. We run the 13th through the 21st.
And you are Scrooge.
I am Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So you jumped into a role that is of course, well known.
Very well known.
And also a lot of work.
It's, well, whenever you get a large part, it's a lot
True.
of work. But Scrooge really doesn't leave the stage once
Yeah.
he comes on the stage.
In fact, we were talking beforehand that you've got a very warm costume that you wear. Your wardrobe is quite toasty.
Yes, it is.
With a union suit underneath the whole thing.
A union suit underneath everything. Then I've got a night shirt and then a suit over the top, including a vest, suspenders, an ascot. Then I have the the suit jacket, and then on top of that is a giant woolen cape.
Oh my goodness.
Cloak.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the top hat on top of all of that.
True.
So
got to keep
for
that
the
heat
first,
in the head.
First little bit, it's toasty.
Yeah.
And then, not to be too salacious, but I do disrobe on stage.
Yes, that's right.
Into a little more comfortable attire, which would be then the nightshirt. But then I put on this giant heavy robe.
Yeah. It's something all the time. For
all
you.
the time.
Yeah. And it's always something all the time for you as well.
True.
You're a pretty busy actor.
Pretty busy there.
Yeah. In fact, after this, then you'll be in Premiere.
The Premiere Premieres of Aftermath.
Yeah, Aftermath.
It's coming up in February.
Yes. Valentine's Day weekend. Correct?
Yes. My lovely wife will love that.
There we go. That's always a plus, isn't it? But who's going to be your date then?
It better be her, or else I'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. All right. What drew you to Scrooge?
Well, I mean, I've been in the show the past 3 years, and I was part of the inaugural cast. And my good friend Tom Roberts, played Scrooge. And a lot of the what I call the old school Playhouse guys came out and auditioned.
That were back in sect and everything.
Yeah, well, I go even back further to the old Sioux Falls Community Playhouse. So Tom Roberts is one of those. We had Rick Huffman out there.
Yeah.
Rod Pierce, Phil Capin, who's unfortunately battling some issues right now. So we hope that he heals up and gets back on stage soon. Love to you, Phil. And so we had a whole bunch of people. Larry Etten was the director, and I count all those people as old school Playhouse people.
Yeah.
And Tom did a great job. They just decided we wanted to go in a different direction and change things up. It's not a new set, but it's a revamped set.
Right.
We've got some new costumes here and there, except for mine. It's still hot.
Yeah.
and new choreography. We've got some new musical arrangements. So it's still the holiday spectacle. It's just a little bit different.
Well, it becomes different every year.
It has to.
Little bit.
I mean, it evolves, and people leave the cast and come into the cast, and things change. But this one's going to be quite a bit different than. I mean, it's the same script,
right?
For the most part. Crispin Whittle or Whittle, he wrote it, and he's a playwright. I believe he's from England, who wrote this specifically for the Guthrie Theater. So the Premiere Playhouse has a 10-year contract on the script, and this is the 4th year.
Right.
So we're planning on doing this for 10 years.
Okay, because I knew that, when you brought it in, that it was going to be a long term, and that it was going to be the Christmas special, the big show for TPP throughout the run. And I knew that, the set was part of that deal.
Yes.
And that it would be the same set coming out every year. And so people get at least familiar with that. But like you said, it is going to be slightly different.
Well, it's like I said, it's been revamped.
Right.
And, geez, thanks to Pierce Humke, who's in charge of all that, he's really done a good job.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I've got a fun story about his dad. There's a revolve that goes from like Scrooge's interior of his house to the Cratchit household to what we call the Wimple house or the Wimple wagon, and it revolves, and we've had some issues dealing with that throughout the years, but somehow Pierce got a hold of some people and did some work, and it is smooth and fast compared to these last years.
Yeah.
So we've really taken the transitions between scenes and tightened them up very nicely. So,
did you ever think that we would see revolving stages in community theaters?
Yes. I've been lucky enough to work on several, actually. But it is nice that we have the resources to be able to. I mean, we had a professional company make this set for us. I believe they're out of Omaha, and partially because it is such an investment to do this for 10 years.
Right.
And so they really went all out into getting some, the fantastic set, which, it gets wear and tear every year. And, we have to repaint it and revamp it and change some things here to make it work better. And you learn as you go. So every year it improves a little bit. But it's not just the set. I mean, we've got some fantastic tech people doing lighting design and sound and running the show and the costumes. The costumes are beautiful.
Yeah. Well, this particular time, because we are going to be there on opening night, Friday night, but not in our normal seats. We're going to be like 2 rows in front of that. But our normal seats are right in front of the tech.
Oh, yeah.
So we always get to hear the go. We hear all the cues. And if you've never seen that or heard what goes on to make everything up on stage look so fantastic, find out sometime. Just try to take that last row seat down on the main floor and listen in.
It is unbelievable.
True.
The amount of work, commitment, the time, all these tech people put in. I mean, as a cast member, particularly as Scrooge, there's a lot of time involved in that. That's just the way it is. But all the behind the scenes action and all the stuff that makes everything look so beautiful and really instill that holiday spirit in the case of this play, it's unbelievable how professional, well-trained, and not only that, but personable. We get along with everybody.
Yeah.
The key is working together in a harmonious environment. And I tell you what, these tech people are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I love them all. So thank you very much for all your work.
Yes.
If you are listening, even if you're not, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And speaking of personable, Jesse Jensen.
Jesse?
As the director.
Well, I've known him for many years. I taught him how to bartend in Vermilion. I was general manager of a restaurant and bar down there, and he came in. And what I did is, because I'm an arts guy myself, and I knew all the arts kids would have commitments, whether they're in plays or opening in art or having concerts as music people, whatever it might be. They would all have these commitments that would go on through. So I just hired a whole bunch of them because they only wanted a couple shifts a week. They just wanted some spending money down there. And so when one group was busy doing a show or whatever, then I could have the other ones work, and it worked great. But Jesse came in and was one of our bartenders, and I showed him the ropes, and now here we are years later. He's directing me in the show.
I'm guessing he made good tips.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He can talk to anybody, and for a long time, too. In fact,
we had to teach some of the college kids how to tip.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that. But I make a joke. I'm an actor. I'm a theater person. So I'm a heck of a bartender.
There you are. You're a heck of whatever the role requires.
I try to be, yeah.
My favorite part with Jesse is when we first met, he found out I was a Cubs fan, and he lived in Wrigleyville. And then we started talking about some favorite players, favorite games, and so forth. We were at a same game one time. That was just an amazing walk-off grand slam to win it. And it was just, it's like, wow, we experienced the same thing long before we ever met.
I actually took him to his first Cubs game.
Really?
In Wrigley Field.
Oh.
Yep, they were playing the Yankees.
Oh.
And they won.
Yes, that's right. Interleague play when that got going.
Yeah, no, I'm from Detroit, so I'm a Tigers fan.
Yeah.
Right. So they were surprisingly made the playoffs this year. But yeah, Jesse and I and a group of people went, and we had a blast.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
We had a blast.
All right. That's part of the program that we always go off on a little tangent or off the rails and so forth. Yeah, it is. But how about Jesse as a director, now that those roles have reversed, that he's guiding you?
Well, he works very much like I like to work. I like to work very organically and a very active. I like to make discoveries in rehearsal. I like to try different ideas, make different choices, and see how they work. And he really allows that very well.
Right.
Not And he makes it a point, even with the actors who might not be as experienced in this type of work or the way of working, that he really encourages them. And that's part of the beautiful thing about Jesse is he really works with the younger or less experienced actors and guides them through making choices, guides them through goals and motivations, guides them through the techniques that he's looking for, so they can come up on their own with ideas to bring the play to life on the stage. And so that's a blessing to work with Jesse. He actually, I've worked with him before. We did God of Carnage.
Oh,
I think it was 11 years ago, because that's where I met my wife. She was in the play as well, but and he was still the same way at that point, very generous to his actors, and it's watching him work with the technical staff as well. I mean, he does a great job.
Yeah,
he really knows how to create a harmonious work environment.
All right, so you had mentioned that your good friend Tom Roberts played Scrooge for the first 3 years.
Yes.
You were able to witness it as being a part of the cast.
Yes,
and so forth.
As his understudy, actually.
Okay, and see, now here's where it comes into play. How are you different as Scrooge versus Tom?
Well, as actors, we're always going to be different.
You got to put your own spin on it.
I do have to admit, I've stolen some things from him. You always steal from the best, you know. And those are choices that he made that particularly worked and I particularly admired. For example, there's when he's with the ghosts, and I'll just use an example, actually, of my son, Perrin, plays youngest Scrooge. So there's a scene in the schoolhouse where Mr. Sykes is terrorizing them. But I was watching Tom, and even though we've completely reblocked this particular scene, you know, I was still use these ideas. He would, which I thought was a brilliant choice, he would react to Mr. Sykes as youngest Scrooge would react to him. Like he'd flinch when he would yell at him and slam the stick on the bench and all that. And he would flinch with the actor, with Perrin, and relive that moment, which I thought was a wonderful choice. So I stole it.
Yeah, that always impressive when you get something along that line.
But Tom is so well loved in this community, and all his work with the children's and his authorship of books and all the things that he does. And he's well respected. I've worked with him many times, fortunately, throughout the years. Even go back to when I was 15, we did a show called Scapan together. And I was just this little tiny part, and he had one of the large parts. But excuse me. But that was fun. I mean, if Phil Capin, we mentioned him earlier. We made masks. Okay, and for the entire cast. Well, in fact, I still have mine today.
No kidding.
Yes,
you're a memorabilia man.
I have well, to a point. Well, don't ask my wife; she'll tell you I'm a hoarder. But but yeah, I do have a few things from productions, including the mask that Phil Capin made. But we did a show, City of Angels, many years ago, where I was playing a character named Stone, and he played a guy in an iron lung, right? So he couldn't move at all. All he could use was his voice.
Yeah.
I mean, he was stuck looking straight up the whole time. But he's a fantastic. He just did great. When he did the appearances as Scrooge, like I just did one at the zoo, and we did it differently this year. But we'd run a scene, and then the Grinch was there, and messed around with the Grinch, and he actually had the Grinch story memorized and did it right then and there in front of the Grinch. You know, it was fun,
and it's amazing. When he does
it was amazing, and he does such a good job, and I really feel it's an honor for me to take over the role from him and try to continue the tradition of a strong character in Scrooge. I mean, it's in a way, it's a dream part.
So, obviously, having been his understudy.
I understudied him last year, yes.
Yeah. You know the script pretty well coming in then.
Well, I don't want to say that. I have to get through opening night. But yes, I did have a head start in being very familiar with the script after being in it for several years.
Mm-hmm.
I understudied Marley 1 year under Rick Wyland, and then the whole reason why I was in the show is because my son was cast as youngest Scrooge, and I just said, I want to be in it.
Might as well, right?
What a great
Right chair.
And now I have another son, Griffin, and Orion as well. He's not quite old enough yet, but Griffin's in it now too.
Oh my goodness!
He plays a
family
character
tradition.
called Want, and street urchin, and he's in the school kid scene and the whole thing, and he's having a blast too.
Oh, excellent!
So I've been lucky enough to be able to do this with my two sons.
All right. How old were you when you first got on stage?
Pardon me, I'm battling it here.
Oh my.
Well, I guess I did church stuff and Boy Scout skits, and I was the MC of the junior high talent show and all that stuff.
Right.
But I really count the first real show that I did was Kaufman and Hart's You Can't Take It With You.
Okay.
And I did this back in Michigan. My high school did it. I was a freshman. I was the only freshman cast in the show as Ed Carmichael, the guy who plays the xylophone.
Uh-huh.
And it was funny because the teacher who was directing it was the art teacher in the junior high the year before I jumped to high school. And she just happened to be promoted up to the high school as the theater person that year, the same year I went up. But I was in art, and she just, my mom was so mad at her for this, but we would do projects, and she says, "Oh, Tom, you just don't have this. You're terrible." She'd give me a C. And I know my mom has this some framed in her house.
Oh no.
I have this picture where like we would tear out pieces of masking tape and then color around it. And I made this band, playing it, and then took the things and drew the faces in where the masking tape was and all this. And my mom got it framed and hung it because I got like the C on it. And so she told me that I didn't, I wasn't very good at art. But then the next year she turns around and casts me as the only freshman in the play, and really started my theatrical journey beyond, just skits.
Right.
So that was my first thing. So that's when I was like 14 years old.
All right.
And then we moved here, and I immediately started getting involved down at the Playhouse, at the Orpheum Theater, with the Sioux Falls Community Playhouse at that time. And I was lucky enough to be cast in that and the high school productions. And, I've been fortunate enough to live all over the country. I went to school in New York City for a while, the National Shakespeare Conservatory, and I did years in Key West doing theater and a movie with Goldie Hawn down there. And I did some more theater in Michigan later, and Las Vegas and Minneapolis. And so I've been lucky enough to do theater all over the country. But yeah, it started when I was 14 years old is when I would say. And some of the people, like my sons, are much younger than that right now, getting involved. I mean, where I was when I was in elementary school, I didn't have those opportunities.
Right.
Okay. And granted, that was last century. Right. But it's a wonderful thing here in Sioux Falls where we've got various companies, including
Spotlight
Premiere
Theater.
Playhouse, including DAPA, but now they're called something.
Spotlight
Theater. Yeah. And my children have been involved in that. And, since Griffin was 6 when he did his first one.
Wow.
And here comes Orion. He's 6 now, so he'll probably be getting involved. He's been wanting to do it. In fact, Orion was really cute. He would fill in rehearsal as a school kid. So we had this little tiny school kid, during rehearsals when somebody wouldn't show up, he'd go in there and sit. So it was fun. But yeah, the opportunity given in Sioux Falls right now for the young people is
phenomenal.
A lot more prolific than it was, even just a few years ago.
Right. You mentioned the big word opportunity.
Right.
Yeah, just the fact
right.
that
And all the theater companies that have popped up.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Monstrous.
there were a couple when
Theater
I was
Lab.
first starting here. Yeah. Theater Lab, Good Night.
Good Night.
All these. They do such a great job. And plus the surrounding communities.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the Worthing Dinner Theater. You've got the Not Ready for Prime Time in was that Colton?
Corson.
Colton. What am I thinking? Corson. And they're just all over. I mean, so there's opportunity all over if you look for it. Because I often have people say, "Hey, let me know when auditions are." I said, "Well, keep an eye out. I'll let you know, but I can't possibly, give you a text every time there's an audition for something because we have so much going on right now."
Get on Facebook.
Get on
Sioux
Facebook.
Falls Actors.
Yeah, Sioux Falls Actors, the auditions page. Yeah,
that's a great place to find stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, not only that, but you may find yourself in a television commercial.
Yeah, well, I've done that.
Yes, you have. You even got to sleep on the job.
Yeah, I got to sleep on the job, and I still get stopped. I did that years ago.
Yeah,
and it's on all the time.
Yeah, the beard was a different color then.
Yeah. Well, I kind of cheat with the beard when I'm not in a play that needs it because my lovely wife is a little younger than I am, and she says I don't need to be seen with Santa Claus.
Well, see, my wife actually adores that part.
Well, good for you, my friend.
She's one of the few people that says, I sleep with Santa.
I sleep with Santa. I get the best presents.
Yeah. So what was the point, though? You got involved pretty early and so forth, but at what point did you say, man, this is something I want to do more with? It's in me. I want to be on stage.
Well,
and the love for it. What is that?
Geez, I did sports
when
I was younger. And I actually did, fairly well in some things, and other things I was terrible at. But I actually started as a basketball player, but I grew up real fast. So I started center at 6'1".
Yeah.
But that was like in 8th grade, 9th grade. Then we moved to Sioux Falls, and we've got all these Norwegians around here that are giants. So I didn't last in basketball very long. And then, I did track, and I did, I was 5th in the state in high hurdles in Michigan for our division, which at the time I thought I was heartbroken, but it turns out that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But, I played baseball. My dad would root for me, and I never made an all-star team. And, he was just like, son, that's not going to happen for you, bless his heart. And, but when I started getting into like the Boy Scouts and, like I said, the church stuff, I was always cast as one of the big parts, the narrator who had to be on there at all times, do most of the work, or, the MC for the shows or whatever it would be. And then when I was in junior high, I was invited to go with the high school kids to a theater outing where we went. It was Eastern Michigan University, and we had a workshop where we could pick our various classes and go. And I was the only junior high kid there, and I realized that I was getting cast as the only freshman, or when I would, as I got older, I would be cast in parts that are maybe I'm not the right age for, older, that other people that were actually that age were being passed over for, and I was getting these parts, and I started to realize, there's something here.
Yeah, excellent.
There's something here.
Well, we're thankful for that.
And not only that, but the theater people are all accepting.
Yes.
I guess they're their own clique in their own way, but they're very accepting to all walks of life.
Yeah.
We're all theater kids. It didn't matter, what you dressed like, what you looked like, who you loved. It didn't matter. You were accepted.
And part of the family.
Yeah. It's where, at Washington High School years ago, I don't know if you remember James Conner, but he was the director of this at Washington High School, and he always did such a wonderful job with the kids. But what we call the theater in the round there is on the 3rd floor. You can be in it now. It's like the science where the kids go play. Now I can go to where I went to high school and look out the same windows I used to look out of. But it was a haven for all the theater kids. we would just go in there. He would be that was our homeroom, even though we were assigned to different homerooms. We'd get the pass, and everyone would just come there and hang out, and everybody be together. So the family aspect of the theater department is one of the things that attracted me, not just for my own acceptance, but it helped me learn to accept everybody, and that was important.
Fantastic. All right. So where do you go from here? I mean, what's after Scrooge, and what do you want as a dream?
Well, I've been lucky to do some things professionally throughout my, and that would be nice. But I'm, getting of a certain age, and my parts are kind of defined for me through that. Many years ago, 1986 or whatever it was, I was Danny Zuko in Greece. Okay, on the Orpheum stage. That's not happening again unless we do a geriatric version.
We'll call it Need Grease.
Excuse me, but now I'm able to do things, like Ebenezer Scrooge. I guess I could have done it in high school had we done. I guess we did do Christmas Carol, and I did not play Ebenezer. I played one of the ghosts, but I get to look into a new type of role. There are lots of roles that I would love to be able to do, and I hate to jinx myself, but like Death of a Salesman.
Oh,
okay. What a great show.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an American classic. There's a lot of Shakespeare that would be fun to do, like a King Lear or just for example. There are all kinds of things. In fact, they're doing Midsummer coming up.
That's right.
Down at the Orpheum. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be fun. I think Tom Roberts is actually Oberon in that, speaking of Tom. But we have a lot of people in that are in this cast that are going to be doing some Shakespeare. I haven't seen Shakespeare on the stage at the Orpheum in a long time. In a long time. I know Augie does their Shakespeare in the Park thing every summer.
Bear Botkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
in
another
fact,
one, another company.
Ivan and Vicky Fuller, who used to, remember those guys?
Love them.
Okay, I came in, and when they first started, and how funny, they went to University of Bowling Green, which my dad went to his first undergrad. Okay, and my grandparents lived in Bowling Green. But I came in an audition, and they, in Much Ado About Nothing, cast me as Dogberry. And we did it on campus. At Augustana, but that turned, it was during the summer, that turned into the Bear Bodkins. So in a way, I was in the first Bear Bodkins, even though it wasn't called that at the time, but it soon turned into the Shakespeare in the Park thing with Ivan and Vicky, and that was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, in fact, Ivan had wanted me to play Falstaff.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, and I can't remember why I couldn't at the time, but,
it's tough to say no to that.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. So maybe it'll come around again.
Yeah.
You never know. All right. It's been such a great time talking to you, Tom.
Back at you, my friend.
Thank you. And really appreciate what you do, not just as an actor, but how you also, as an actor, make our community theater productions better and top notch.
Very kind of you.
And,
thank you very much.
Well, thank you. So as a first-time guest, you get 2 questions at the end. How you answer the first one determines whether the second one needs to be asked.
Fair enough.
Okay. So when you are not part of the arts and entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Well, my first answer is my children.
Okay.
They are wildly entertaining, as any parent out there can agree with. I'm actually related to the people who started the Sturgis Bike Rally, Pappy and Pearl Hoyle, back in 1938. And I've been going out there for many years.
Really?
And I've worked out there for over 2 decades. So I am involved a little bit in the biker community, and have a lot of fun. At the same time, it's a lot of work.
Right.
Working out there during the rally, and I've gotten to know a lot of people from not only all over the country, but all over the world.
Yeah.
Through that endeavor. So that's one thing I'm entertained by in late July and early to mid-August.
All right.
So that's one of the things.
How about hobbies?
Well, there's the motorcycle stuff. My hobbies lately have been dictated by my children and what they're into. I've always loved fishing.
Okay.
And Griffin and Orion love to go fishing and camping and anything outdoors. That's why I've got them involved in the Cub Scouts. In fact, I've become pack master.
Oh, congrats.
Of Pack 371 with both of my children involved in that pack. So that's fun. But we like to travel a lot. My wife, Dana, is an avid traveler. She likes to get out of Sioux Falls at least once a month and go on a large trip at least once or twice a year. And so this last time around, we've really incorporated that. We went up to the North Shore of Minnesota,
right,
along Lake Superior there, and did that whole thing, taking the kids. We went to Itasca, the headwaters of the Mississippi. And that was all just this year. We do a lot of going out to the Black Hills. The kids love to catch the trout.
Oh, fun.
So I've done a lot of fishing with the kids.
Fly fishing then for the trout?
Haven't gotten them into that.
Okay.
I mean, Orion's 6.
Yeah, true.
And I would have to have some practice with that myself. We use basically spinning rods. But the fly fishing has been discussed, especially Griffin. He's like, I want to try it. I want to do it. So I'll have to make that happen.
Yeah, when you get to that point, it's very enjoyable.
Right.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. Great to have you on. See you Friday night.
Friday night, the 13th, opening night, folks.
And we will be there at opening night at the Premiere Playhouse.
Yep, down at the Orpheum.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Break a leg.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics, inside Oscar's Mini Storage. Bisque, studio time, painting parties, and finished items are available. Visit TJS Ceramic Studio in Sioux Falls today.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
Never met a meal he didn't like. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Thanks again to my great guests, Alan Helgeson and Thomas Andrew Simmons. All 258 episodes available online, DaveHollyHour.com. Don't forget, use that search function for previous guests and topics. You'll also find links to Arts South Dakota and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. Next week, episode 259, will be the last of the year before I take a couple of weeks off. The next show will return Thursday, January 9th of 2025. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to DaveHollyHour.com and click on the coffee cup icon. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.